Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Coming to you from Washington's premier indoor shooting facility, of course, that being Security Gun Club, right here in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, listen, we all know this. Over the last few years, there's been an all-out war against our Second Amendment rights, and it's been coming at us from all fronts. Now, one of the most common tools used by this particular presidential administration, of course, is to unleash the ATF like some kind of rabid attack dog off the leash to go attack lawful and responsible gun owners, and they do that through their rule-making power. We've seen already a couple of huge rule-making orders from the ATF. Of course, they've all blown up in their face as well. One on frames and receivers, another one on pistol braces. Both of them subject right now to a lot of litigation, and the litigation is going quite well for the plaintiffs. But, as you know, the ATF has come up with yet another way that they want to disarm you, and this rule is designed to go after all private sales. It's meant to go after the gun shows. It's meant to go after all the third-party purveyors or marketplaces for firearms. This is going to be a massive attack on your Second Amendment rights, and everyone needs to be aware of it, and everyone needs to be involved. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about comment now or lose later to the ATF. Okay, so what we're talking about is ATF Rule 2022-R17. We're going to link the entire rule up below, but this is the rule that is going to redefine what it means to be engaged as an FFL or in the business of selling firearms. And the purpose of the rule, the goal of the rule, is to take just about every private sale humanly imaginable and to then group that underneath the category of, oh, this is where you need to have an FFL in order to do that. They're going to shut down literally every single private sale. They're going to shut down gun broker. They're going to shut down arms list. They're going to shut down all the gun stores. And in doing so, what have they achieved? That's right. Everything has to go through a universal background check at an FFL, and that is how they achieve their ultimate goal of universal background checks. Now, this rule has been published, which means there is a comment period going on. The comments are not coming in as fast and furious as they did on the rule related to stabilizing braces or on the rule of frames and receivers. And we need to get off the schneid and we need to get our comments in. This rule has a much greater impact than one may think, because unlike the rule with stabilizing braces and unlike the rule with unfinished frames and receivers, the statutory framework for the ATF to actually dig in here was created when we passed the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act last year. So unlike the other two rules, which have blown up because there was no statutory structure to support them, this one arguably does, and therefore becomes a more credible threat to your otherwise inalienable rights. You see, you got to understand that many of those that are advancing the cause of civilian disarmament are pushing the ATF so that if you sell 3 handguns a year, a mere 3 guns a year, you are going to actually be deemed to be an FFL. And if you're doing so without the correct licensing, you will, of course, be labeled then as a felon. So we need all of you, to start making comments. Now, in order to make a comment on this rule, you can link right there. You see that link right there. That is how you can make an electronic comment. Now, we'll also link this all up in the description box so that you can do it that way as well. If you are a little bit more old-fashioned and you want to submit your comments the old-fashioned way in writing, well, you can do that by submitting it to that address right there. And again, we will link all of that up in the description box for you as well. It is important that you make clear and concise and proper comments. I know that many of you want to tell the ATF to just go pound sand, to go F themselves, to go fly straight to hell, and things like that. I recognize that. Comments like that are not going to accomplish what we need to do. And this is the important part. Let us remember how valuable the comments were on the rule with attached stabilizing braces, because the rule as published was commented on negatively more than 200,000 times. The ATF actually had to respond to those comments and ultimately completely rewrote and restructured the rule such that the final rule was in a version that nobody had ever really contemplated nor had an opportunity to comment. And that is one of the many reasons why the pistol brace rule is now becoming unraveled, and you begin to see these courts taking it apart. So yes, comments do make a big difference. Now, as much as I mentioned earlier, you want to tell them to go straight to hell, let me give you some tips on how to make constructive, positive, and effective comments to the ATF. 1. Avoid inflammatory, vulgar, or hyperbolic language. 2. Explain why this rule is unworkable in the real world. 3. Point out how it is inconsistent with the underlying statute. 4. Point out that this does nothing to make the public safer, which it actually does not. 5. Point out how many individuals would be subject to this rule. Right now, the conservative estimate would be over 300,000 individuals would need to obtain an FFL. Now think about it. If there were 300,000 more FFLs, here's a couple other points you might want to make to the ATF. 6. Can ATF even handle that caseload? 7. Is that the true cost, or are the real costs likely to be far, far greater? And remember, the more specific, the more fact-based you are, the more effective your comments will be. So once again, the rule is 2022-R17. We will link up how you can make both electronic and written comments. We need all of you, and I do mean all of you, to make comments on this rule and to do so right away. The comments will close, I believe, in the middle of December, so let's all take a concerted effort to do our part to tell the ATF what a terrible rule this is. Listen, you may have more questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights. Now, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is right down there in the description box. In the meantime, let's all remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.